year, and I am so excited to be back with you. Thank you so much for all of the donations and all of the love you've been sending through in messages all of today and yesterday. It really is fantastic to see. It is so wonderful to read all of your messages and all of your well wishes. If you have not donated yet, please go to the link down below, save-our-biodiversity.nature.org.au. We still have quite a bit of money to match, and so please head to that link, because today your impact is doubled, which is kind of incredible. And thank you to our generous donor who put forward the 20,000 to be matched. Now, rolling back into the content, I am absolutely delighted to be joined by Carolyn Loton today, who is one of the co-founders of Professionals Advocating for Climate Action. Sorry about the noise in the background, guys. We are having an open office.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We are so delighted to have you here. So you started your group after the 2019-2020 bushfires with your co-founder, your husband. So can you tell me a little bit about what that was like, why you wanted to make this group, and what was really inspiring to you?
Sure. So I think when we saw the fires, I think, we'd been really concerned about the environment and trying to take actions for a while. But I think once the bushfires hit and we all sort of experienced how terrible that was, we just felt we needed to do more. And I was a bit concerned that we would start and then, after a few months, we'd have the best intentions, but we'd drop off. So I thought, well, the best way to stay on track is to do it with other people. So we started off and we invited about 10 friends into the living room in February 2020. And we just talked about how we might work together and support each other and what things we wanted to find out about. The other thing was, I thought we felt we needed to educate ourselves and what would make the big difference and those sort of things. Then we only lasted a month or two in the living room before COVID hit. And so then we ended up doing monthly meetings on Zoom. And that has ended up being fantastic for us because it was really convenient. People from all over the place could join. So we now have, it's about 370 people have joined the group. And we've got members across 4 or 5 states in Australia who tune in, and as well as overseas. And the idea is that we're educating ourselves. So we have a monthly meeting and a guest speaker on a whole range of different topics, everything from fast fashion to composting, installing solar in your home, electrifying your home, right through to the next one coming up is about make sure your superannuation's invested in support of the environment and not supporting fossil fuels. And we also had quite a few sessions over the last 2 years just in terms of using your influence. And for those people who do want to get involved in supporting one of the federal candidates, some people will work with some of the teal candidates, and just understanding the system, I suppose. So the idea is we educate ourselves, support one another, and if people do want to get involved and do more, they can find out how.
So with this huge network that you have, congratulations, by the way, 350 people is not to be scoffed at. What do you think the role of professionals is in the environment space? You mentioned teaching yourselves, learning new things, learning from other people. Once you've got the information, where do you see yourself putting that?
Yeah, good question. So I think it took us a while to work out, what would we call the group and what made us different to other people, and what were we really there for? And what we decided was it's open to anyone, but just because of our backgrounds and the type of work we do, a lot of our contacts and friends might be other professionals, and sometimes people were already members of different advocacy organisations, but other times people wanted to do something that they just didn't feel like they knew where to go, or there wasn't a group that felt right for them. So one of the things we think that we can do as professionals is we've often got networks through our work as well as home life. So it's using our network and career networks to try to influence change, and also a place. There's doctors for the environment and sports people for the environment, and we just thought, well, it makes sense, professionals for the environment. So it's just a space for people to belong, to find out more if that's their thing, and to be encouraged to do whatever they feel, have a small or big impact they want to have.
And you've mentioned the types of impact like solar panels and fast fashion, a bunch of really important, really exciting climate topics that you've been learning about. How do you see people in your group and people just in your circles generally moving from, and as well as climate action, into action on the biodiversity and extinction crisis? What do you think those two link with?
Well, firstly, I think people are really interested in biodiversity and the nature side of things. So we have had speakers talk about the Great Barrier Reef, Antarctica, some of the rewilding projects in Australia, like the buildings and so on. People are always super interested. And I think that's all part of the same thing, that people are concerned about the environment and they're concerned about what's happening to nature and biodiversity. And I suppose, so what was the second part of your question, Peter?
I was just wondering how we kind of link those two things as people. So I think one of the things, this is me just sort of spitballing here, but one of the things I think we've seen in recent years is obviously we have had such a focus on the climate crisis, rightfully so, but now as we move into action on that front, how do we get people like professionals to also be as involved and as excited and as active in the wildlife space?
Yeah, definitely. So I think first of all, people are interested, and I think secondly, like it's hard, you can't untangle them both. You know, we need our biodiversity, we need our trees to cool the planet. We need our oceans to be working well. We need our nature. Otherwise, we can't actually. It's not sustainable on Earth. So I don't know how you can really pull them. Separate the two of them, and a lot of the solutions to climate are probably nature and biodiversity based. And I think also the outcomes, if you look at what the outcomes or the problems related to climate change, is things like health and livability and all those sort of things. And they're just as impacted by nature. Without getting into too much detail, but if you're looking at the health impacts of climate change, a lot of those are biodiversity. They have an angle that's biodiversity related. So whether it's reduction in native forests, and having animals closer to humans, so there's a more likelihood of an overlap of transfer of animal-based diseases to humans, for example. So I think it's impossible to pull them apart, and they're both really important. So I suppose that's really one of the reasons why we support the Nature Conservation Council and other nature-based and biodiversity-based organisations. That's important.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing I wanted to talk about to you next. I mean, Professionals Advocating Climate Action is a member group of NCC, so I kind of wanted to ask you, what got you interested in the Nature Conservation Council? Do you remain interested in the Nature Conservation Council? And what benefits do you see as an organisation do we bring?
Right. Well, I suppose I sort of see it in a few different bundles. So some of the work that NCC does, for example, in forests or water, it's a lot of advocacy-based work, and it's not necessarily what we do as a group. I still think it's super important, making those changes, influencing change, influencing, policy review and stopping something that's damaging from being approved, in the Parliament and that sort of thing. That's just so important, but our group doesn't do that. So I feel like that's something that Nature Conservation Council is really good at, and obviously specialists in New South Wales. So that's probably the main reason why I think it's important that we support the NCC. But I also think it's a really experienced organisation. It's been around for more than 60 years, and it knows what it's doing in that space. So I think it's very, I feel confident that if I make a donation, that it's going to be used well. Used to working on a small budget, but making it go as far as you possibly can, and being really effective and able to make fantastic changes in those areas. For example, forests in New South Wales. So
absolutely.
That's I suppose why. That's why we donate, and I'm in the fortunate position that we are able to donate, maybe a little bit more than what some people can. But I also wanted to mention, just give a plug for regular giving. So I know that if you people who are watching wanted to think about regular giving and the Voices for Nature program, I just think it's actually super important. It doesn't matter if it's a small amount each month, whatever it is, $20 or $30. That's basically the same as one coffee a week. If you work times 4 for a month, or one Uber trip home. In one week you catch the train instead of taking an Uber, and that's enough to kind of be part of something like Voices for Nature. And that regular income for NCC, I know that makes a massive difference, because then they've got the confidence to plan ahead. They know what income's coming. So I'd 100% encourage people to think about that as an option.
Absolutely, could not agree more, and thank you so much for coming on and talking to us and bringing up that point. Giving regularly, being a voice for nature is super important for us. It's financial stability, but more than that, it means that we can look into the future and have bolder, bigger plans, and be able to react faster. So please, if you can, giving monthly is an amazing cause. It really helps us out. So go to save-our-biodiversity.nature.org.au and you can click the monthly button, because we have that there for you. So once again, thank you so much, Carolyn, for joining us. It has been such a pleasure chatting to you, and I hope to see you soon.
Thanks very much, Peter. Great to join you. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you. All right, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Yeah.